Cody Grin back in. Go ahead with it.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Judge Tamika West Bernard. I am presiding over the preliminary hearing calendar for this morning, February 27, 2023. I'm officially calling the state of Georgia versus Jonathan Deshaun Hollowell. Mr. Hollowell is appearing via Zoom at the Clayton County Jail with his counsel, Nicole Jones, and the state will be represented by ADA Cheryl Freeman. State ready to proceed forward with their case against Mr. Hollowell?
Yes, Your Honor.
Call your first witness, please.
Thank you. The state calls Officer Howard. Would you raise your right hand, please?
What number of one?
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to provide in the matter of state of Georgia versus Jonathan Hollowell will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
All right, please tell us your name and how you're employed.
Quintavious Howard. I'm employed with Lake City Police Department.
Sir, were you working with the Lake City Police Department on February 6th of 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
On that particular day, around 8:15 p.m., were you working in off-duty detail at the Lake City International Farmers Market?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Is that on Jonesboro Road?
Yes, ma'am.
While working that off-duty detail, were you still a certified police officer in the state of Georgia?
Yes, ma'am.
On that particular day and time, did an employee of that farmer's market make some concerns to you?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
And what were those concerns?
It was about a suspicious person inside the business.
Was she able to give you any details about this suspicious person?
Yes, ma'am. She told me that a customer had told her that there was a male subject in the store sitting on the floor playing with his private area.
Was she able to give you, I guess, describe what the person was wearing?
Yes, ma'am.
When you went into the store, did you find this male that the employee described?
Yes, ma'am.
And who did that male turn out to be?
It was Jonathan Hollowell.
Was Mr. Hollowell wearing the clothing that the employee described?
Yes, ma'am.
Was Mr. Hollowell still sitting on the floor?
No, ma'am. He had actually moved down the aisle to the fresh seafood area.
Was there any video surveillance that you were able to review regarding these allegations?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that video surveillance inside of the store?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you see when you reviewed that video surveillance?
I seen the male sitting on the floor. However, due to the angle of the camera, he was kind of behind some boxes, so you couldn't really tell what he was doing, but he was on the floor doing something. You just couldn't tell what.
From that video, sir, was that man that you saw sitting on the floor in that video, was that Jonathan Hollowell?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
When you saw Mr. Hollowell, did you approach him?
I did.
What happened after you approached him?
He was actually reaching over the fresh seafood area. I'm not sure if he was trying to grab the fresh fish that they have down there. I made contact with him, asked him what was going on. And he just told me that he didn't have anywhere to go. The store was basically a safe haven for him. He was homeless. And I asked him, did he have anything on him? And asked me, did he have any weapons, anything like that on him? He told me he had some broken glass in his pockets. And I asked him where was the glass at. He showed it to me, and it was actually a broken glass meth pipe.
Was there anything inside of the meth pipe?
Yes, ma'am. There was some residue, which appeared to be meth.
How did you recognize this to be a meth pipe?
It has the crystals in it, and meth is a hard rock crystal-like substance.
Okay. And I think I forgot to ask you this, also, how long have you been working with Lake City?
I've been working with Lake City almost a year now.
Okay. In that year, have you had occasion to see these so-called, these glass pipes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in your experience that you've had, what are these pipes used for?
They're basically normally used for smoking narcotics, such as meth, cocaine.
Okay. Were you able to test the residue that was in this pipe?
No, ma'am, I did it.
I'm sorry?
No, ma'am. The pipe.
And how did you come to the conclusion that it was meth?
He actually had a clear container in his rear right pocket, which actually contained methamphetamine inside the container.
Were you able to test what was in that container?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the result of that test?
It tested positive for methamphetamine.
The glass pipe that was located, did Mr. Hollowell pull that out of his pocket himself, or did you go into his pocket and get it?
Well, he was going to reach in his pocket and get it out, and I told him I would get it out.
The container that was located, where was that found?
It was in his rear right pocket.
Did you go into his right pocket and pull that container out?
Yes, ma'am.
Has that been placed into evidence?
Yes, ma'am, it has.
Did Mr. Hollowell make any other statements about what was found on his person?
No, ma'am.
Did all of this happen in Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am, it did.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Your witness, Attorney Jones.
Officer Howard, you filed an arrest warrant for Mr. Hollowell,
I did a warrantless arrest affidavit. Yes, ma'am.
and that warrantless arrest affidavit was under oath, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And in that affidavit, you stated that he was sitting on the floor for hours inside the store?
Yes, ma'am. He had been in the store about an hour or two, according to the store employee.
Okay. And in that affidavit, you also stated that he was just sitting there playing with candles and other items, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So at no point in time prior to your approach to him, did you see him break any laws, correct?
No, ma'am.
And at no point in time prior to your approach to him, did anyone ask him to leave the facility, correct?
No, ma'am.
And at no point in time prior to your search for him, could you articulate any laws that he actually broke, correct?
No, ma'am.
And at no point in time did you ask for an arrest warrant, correct?
Ma'am.
You did not get a search warrant for his person, correct?
No.
And you did not have any cause or any reason to place him under arrest prior to searching his pockets, correct?
No, ma'am.
I have no further questions.
No
Ready
additional.
Ready for
Yes, Your
argument?
Honor. Yes, Your Honor, the state rests. And we
Okay.
wait opening.
Attorney Jones.
Your Honor, I don't have any additional witnesses. We just have an argument on the case.
Okay, this is your time.
Your Honor, Mr. Hollowell actually we asked that the case be dismissed. There was no articulable probable cause for any reason for the police officer to search him or even to go into his pockets. It was just I understand that would be a motion to suppress later on, but it is an illegal search on Mr. Hollowell, but there was nothing that stated that he actually broke any laws inside of the open Lake City Farmers Market, nor was he asked to leave. It just ends up being that Mr. Howard did an illegal search and seizure, which has been struck down with the stop and frisk, if you want to even call it that, and then found something later on. There was, as he testified, there was nothing in the open. There was nothing public for him to even go into his pockets. So we do ask that this case be dismissed based on the fact that there is no probable cause to actually warrant the initial arrest which is prior to the actual possession of the methamphetamine.
Okay, Attorney, 88 Freeman.
Thank you, Judge. We're asking that the charge be bound over to Superior Court. And certainly, whether the defense counsel decides to file a motion to suppress, when and if it gets to Superior Court, that will be the appropriate time. But based on the information that Officer Howard had, employees, there had been a complaint regarding Mr. Hollowell sitting on the floor playing with his private parts. The officer did see Mr. Hollowell sitting on the floor. Because of the angle, he couldn't tell what he was doing, but there had been a complaint that he was playing with his private parts. He fit the description of what the employee had provided to Officer Howard. He approached him, asked him if he had anything on him that would poke him. He said, I have glass. And after seeing that with the residue, he did search his pocket and where he found methamphetamine. We believe that at this stage that the case should be bound over to Superior Court.
Okay. Based on the evidence presented by the party, including the testimony from the witness, I do find sufficient probable cause to bind over the case to the Superior Court of Clayton County. That will be the order of the court today, and that will conclude the preliminary hearing for Mr. Hollowell.
Thank you, Judge. And may Officer Howard be excused.
Okay,